A World Cup commentator, a packed plane, and a plastic box full of boiled eggs. That is all it took for Andros Townsend to spark one of the strangest football debates of the tournament. The former England winger is currently traveling around North America after landing a role as a World Cup co-commentator for ITV. But this time, it was not his analysis, his playing career, or anything happening on the pitch that had fans talking. It was his in-flight meal. Townsend filmed himself opening a Tupperware box full of boiled eggs while sitting on a plane, and within moments, social media had turned it into a full-blown argument. Some fans laughed, some were horrified, and others went even further, threatening to unfollow him altogether. So, was it just a harmless snack from a man sticking to a strict diet, or was it completely inconsiderate to everyone else on board? Andros Townsend, now 34, is best known to many fans for his years in the Premier League, including his time with Tottenham and his appearances for England. These days, he is on the books of Thai-side Kanchanaburi Power, but during the World Cup he has been back in the spotlight as part of ITV's commentary coverage. That means plenty of traveling, plenty of flights, and, apparently, some very unusual food choices. Townsend took to social media to explain his situation. According to him, once he gets through airport security, he cannot eat any of the food available in the airport or on the plane. So instead, he brings his own meals. And then came the line that really caught everyone's attention. He said that if the options were sardines, raw steak, or boiled eggs, then boiled eggs were probably the least offensive choice. That was his defense. But then he asked the question directly. If he was sitting next to you on a flight, what would your reaction be? He also asked whether eating boiled eggs on a plane was acceptable or inconsiderate. And the internet did exactly what the internet does. It split into two camps. On one side were the people who could not believe what they were seeing. For them, opening a box of boiled eggs in a confined cabin was not just unusual, it was a crime against fellow passengers. One fan joked that Townsend had fully lost the plot. Another compared cracking open a container of eggs on a plane to attempted murder, saying it would stink up the cabin. A third reaction was even more dramatic: immediate jail. And another summed it up in one blunt word: inconsiderate. For those fans, the issue was not Townsend's diet, it was the setting. A plane cabin is cramped, enclosed, and shared with strangers. Strong-smelling food can quickly become everyone else's problem, but not everyone was against him. Some followers actually backed Townsend's choice. One called it a must, another said it was a good choice. And that is where the argument became strangely fascinating. Because Townsend was not trying to cause a scene. He was presenting it as a practical decision. If he has strict food rules while traveling, then bringing boiled eggs may have felt like the safest compromise. But for fans watching the video, the question was simple. Even if it works for you, does that make it fair on the people sitting nearby? The reason this story exploded is because it was not the first time Townsend's eating habits had shocked fans during the World Cup. Earlier in the tournament, supporters were stunned when he tucked into raw meat before going live on air. That moment already had people talking. But now, with the boiled eggs video, the debate has gone to another level. Townsend has also revealed parts of his diet plan, which reportedly includes 6 hard-boiled eggs, 6 cans of sardines, and steak with bone broth. So when fans saw him eating boiled eggs mid-flight, many did not see it as a one-off moment. They saw it as part of a growing pattern of bizarre food content from a football commentator who is becoming almost as talked about off-camera as he is on it. And that is what makes this story so strange. At the same World Cup where England are pushing through the tournament, Thomas Tuchel is trying to end a 6-0-year wait, and the biggest nations in world football are fighting for the trophy. One of the most heated arguments online is about boiled eggs on a plane. But, in a way, that is exactly why it spread. It is relatable. Everyone has been stuck next to someone doing something annoying on public transport. Everyone has an opinion on plane etiquette. And everyone knows that once a smell starts moving through a cabin, there is nowhere to escape. Townsend probably thought he was choosing the least offensive option. No sardines, no raw steak, just eggs. But for some fans, that was still too much. And when your job involves appearing on television during one of the biggest sporting events in the world, even your lunch can become headline news. So, after all the reaction, the question remains, was Andros Townsend wrong? On one hand, he was simply trying to stick to his own diet while traveling across North America for his ITV World Cup duties. On the other hand, fans are arguing that a plane is not the place for food that could make the rest of the cabin uncomfortable. What started as a bizarre social media clip has now become a debate about manners, personal choice, and the unwritten rules of flying. And Townsend himself seemed to know exactly what he was doing by asking the public for their verdict. Was it acceptable, or was it inconsiderate? The answers came in fast, and they were brutal. Some fans supported him, others were disgusted, and a few were ready to hit unfollow. For Townsend, it may have just been a box of boiled eggs. But for the internet, it became one of the weirdest World Cup side stories so far. Because sometimes, football does not need a red card, a VAR controversy, or a last-minute winner to create chaos. Sometimes, all it takes is one man, one flight, and a Tupperware box full of eggs.